Chosen one. God said 3 days are all that's left. May 15th, 16th, 17th decides it. There are moments in life when heaven becomes silent, when the noise of the world fades away, and all that remains is a warning burning inside your spirit. This is not a coincidence. This is not just another message scrolling across your screen. If you found these words today, it is because something greater than you pulled you here. The clock is moving, the signs are everywhere, and for the chosen ones, May 15th, 16th, and 17th are not ordinary days. These 3 days carry a weight that cannot be ignored. Something is shifting in the spiritual realm, and deep down, you already feel it. For months you have been under pressure you couldn't explain. Doors closing without reason, people walking away, sleepless nights, confusion, delay, spiritual attacks that seemed endless. You kept asking God why everything suddenly became harder when all you wanted was peace. But what if the struggle was never punishment? What if heaven was preparing you for a moment that would divide your old life from your new one forever? Because that is exactly what these next 3 days represent. A dividing line, a final decision, a spiritual turning point. God is speaking loudly right now to those with spiritual ears. The chosen ones are being separated from distraction, from fake connections, from environments that were draining their destiny. You thought you were losing everything, but heaven says you were being rescued. There are battles you survived that should have destroyed you. There are traps the enemy set for you that somehow failed at the last second. And the reason you are still standing is because your assignment is not over. Your purpose is still alive. But listen carefully. The next 3 days are critical. Not because of fear, but because of alignment. Heaven is watching decisions. Your response matters now more than ever. Some people will ignore the signs and continue sleeping spiritually. Others will recognize this moment and step fully into the calling God has been trying to awaken inside them. Which one will you be? You have spent too much time doubting yourself, too much time waiting for people to validate what God already confirmed in secret. Every delay made you question your worth. Every betrayal made you question your heart. Every setback made you wonder if you were truly chosen at all. But the enemy only attacks what carries value. Darkness only fights what threatens it, and your existence threatens powers you cannot even see. Something unusual happens when a chosen one gets close to breakthrough. Chaos increases, distractions multiply, fear becomes louder, old temptations return, toxic people suddenly reappear. Why? Because the enemy knows time is running out. And right now, during these 3 days, there is a spiritual battle happening over your focus, your obedience, and your future. Do not ignore what your spirit has been trying to tell you. There is a reason you feel disconnected from certain people. There is a reason your soul feels restless in places that once felt comfortable. God is pulling you higher, but elevation always requires separation. You cannot carry old mindsets into a new season. You cannot step into divine purpose while chained to fear, bitterness, and doubt. May 15th marks the beginning of revelation. Hidden truths will begin surfacing. Things done in darkness will come into light. People who secretly envied you will expose themselves without realizing it. Masks will fall. Lies will collapse. And some of you are about to receive clarity you have prayed for during countless nights of tears. The confusion is ending. God is removing the fog from your eyes. But revelation can be painful, because once truth is revealed, you can no longer pretend you didn't see it. Some relationships will never feel the same again. Some opportunities will suddenly lose their appeal. Some environments will become unbearable to your spirit. This is not loss. This is divine protection. God is showing you what cannot enter your next season. May 16th is the day of testing. The pressure may intensify. You may feel emotionally exhausted. Doubt may try to return stronger than before. Unexpected situations may appear designed to distract you from your peace, but understand this clearly. Not every battle is meant to destroy you. Some battles reveal who you really are. Heaven is watching how you respond under pressure. Will you return to fear? Will you give up at the edge of breakthrough? Or will you stand firm even when you cannot yet see the outcome? Chosen one, your strength is not accidental. You survived things that broke other people completely. You carried pain in silence while still showing kindness to others. You fought battles nobody knew about. And even when you wanted to quit, something deep inside refused to let you stop. That was God sustaining you the entire time. There are people who underestimated you because they only saw your struggle. They never saw the spiritual oil on your life. They mistook your patience for weakness. They mocked your delays, not realizing heaven was preparing something bigger than they could comprehend. But these next 3 days are exposing the difference between those who walk by sight and those who walk by faith. On May 17th, decisions become final. Spiritually, this is a closing door and an opening gate. Some cycles are ending permanently. Some blessings are waiting for your obedience. Some miracles are connected to the choices you make during this short window of time. God is not asking you to be perfect. He is asking you to listen, to trust, to move when He says move, to let go when He says let go. There are chosen ones hearing this message right now who have been delaying what God already told them to do. You know exactly what it is. You keep waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect sign, the perfect confirmation. But heaven says the confirmation has already arrived. Fear has kept you frozen long enough. Your destiny cannot grow in the comfort zone that is suffocating your spirit. And let this sink deep into your soul. Not everyone can go where God is taking you. Some people were assigned to your past, not your future. Stop trying to save connections God is removing. Stop begging for loyalty from people who secretly celebrate your struggles. Stop shrinking your spirit to fit environments that dishonor your purpose. You were never meant to stay small. The enemy wanted you distracted during these days because he knows what happens when a chosen one becomes spiritually focused. Chains begin breaking. Generational curses begin collapsing. Healing begins flowing. Discernment becomes sharper. Doors begin opening unexpectedly. Favor starts locating you in ways logic cannot explain. That is why the attacks intensified. Darkness sensed your transition before you did. But hear this warning clearly. The next 3 days require spiritual discipline. Protect your energy. Be careful who you entertain. Be careful what voices you allow into your mind. Some people carry confusion, negativity, and hidden agendas designed to drain your peace. Not every invitation deserves your presence. Not every conversation deserves your attention. Discernment is survival in this season. There is also something else God is revealing to the chosen ones right now. Your pain was never wasted. Every rejection taught you discernment. Every heartbreak taught you strength. Every lonely season forced you closer to God. What looked like abandonment was actually preparation. Heaven had to isolate you before elevating you because some lessons can only be learned in solitude. You are entering a season where intuition becomes sharper than ever before. You will begin sensing things before they happen. You will recognize deception faster. You will feel peace leave certain rooms instantly. Trust that discernment. God is increasing your spiritual sensitivity for a reason. The days ahead require wisdom, not emotional blindness. And for some listening right now, there is a major breakthrough attached to these 3 days. Financial restoration, emotional healing, divine connections, a sudden opportunity, a release from spiritual heaviness that has followed you for years. But breakthrough often arrives disguised as discomfort first. Do not panic when things shift suddenly. God sometimes shakes environments to remove what no longer belongs in your life. The chosen ones have suffered quietly for too long. You smiled while carrying invisible wounds. You encouraged others while secretly fighting exhaustion yourself. People admired your strength without understanding the storms you survived privately. But heaven has not forgotten your tears. Every silent prayer was heard. Every lonely night was recorded. Every moment you chose faith over quitting mattered more than you realize. These next 3 days are not about fear. They are about awakening. God is waking up the chosen ones who almost forgot who they are. You are not ordinary. You were marked before you were born. There is a calling on your life that cannot be erased by failure, delay, or attack. The enemy tried to bury your confidence because he feared what would happen if you finally saw yourself the way God sees you. And now the awakening begins. Watch carefully who suddenly changes around you during these days. Some people will become distant because your elevation exposes their hidden intentions. Others will suddenly seek access to your energy because they sense your breakthrough approaching. Not everyone clapping for you is celebrating you. Discernment is your protection now more than ever. There are also people listening who have felt spiritually tired, almost numb. You prayed but felt unheard. You waited but saw no movement. You wondered if God had forgotten you entirely. But sometimes heaven delays visible answers because your spirit is still being strengthened beneath the surface. Roots grow in darkness before fruit appears publicly. Do not give up during these final moments before transformation. The pressure is temporary. The confusion is temporary. The waiting season is temporary. God did not bring you this far to abandon you now. There is purpose connected to your survival. There are people you are meant to impact. There are chains in your bloodline that break through your obedience. The next 3 days will test where your trust truly lives. Will you trust fear or faith? Will you trust appearances or discernment? Will you cling to comfort or obey the voice calling you higher? These decisions matter because destiny is built through choices repeated consistently over time. And understand this deeply, spiritual warfare is real. Not every problem is physical. Some battles begin in the unseen realm before manifesting in reality. But unexplained heaviness, confusion, fatigue, and resistance you felt recently may not have been random at all. The enemy attacks minds before he attacks circumstances because thoughts shape direction. Protect your mind fiercely during these days. Spend time in silence. Pray more. Listen carefully. Step away from constant noise and distraction. God often speaks clearest when the world becomes quiet. Your spirit already knows what your mind keeps trying to deny. Stop ignoring the warning signs. Stop dismissing your intuition. Heaven is trying to guide you before the next chapter fully unfolds. Some of you will receive unexpected communication during these days. A message, a phone call, an opportunity, a revelation. Pay attention. Not every moment is accidental. God can use ordinary situations to redirect an entire destiny. One conversation can change everything. One act of obedience can unlock years of delay. And to the chosen one who feels broken right now, hear this clearly. You are not too damaged for purpose. Your scars do not disqualify you. In fact, the very pain you survived may become the testimony that heals others. God often uses wounded people because they understand compassion in ways untouched people never will. The world taught you to chase approval, status, and validation. But heaven is teaching you something greater: alignment. When you align with purpose, peace follows, clarity follows, strength follows. The opinions of people lose power when you finally understand who you are spiritually. May 15th, 16th, and 17th are not random dates for the chosen ones hearing this message. They represent transition, decision, exposure, separation, awakening. Some of you will look back on these days months from now and realize this was the exact moment everything started changing. Do not waste this window being distracted by temporary drama. Stay spiritually alert, stay grounded, Stay prayerful. Protect your peace aggressively. The enemy wants emotional reactions. God wants spiritual maturity. There is power in remaining calm when chaos tries surrounding you. And remember this above all else. You were chosen for a reason. Not because you are perfect, not because you never failed, but because God saw something inside you worth preserving, despite every attack sent against your life. Your story is still unfolding. Your breakthrough is still possible. Your purpose is still alive. These 3 days may feel intense. They may feel emotional. They may bring endings you did not expect. But every ending creates space for a new beginning. Trust the process, even when you do not fully understand it yet. Heaven sees what you cannot. The chosen ones are rising now, quietly, spiritually, powerfully, and nothing the enemy planned against you will stop what God already decided for your future. The countdown has begun. May 15th, revelation. May 16th, testing. May 17th, decision. And after that, nothing will ever be the same again. There are moments in history when time itself seems to pause, when ordinary days suddenly carry extraordinary spiritual weight. For the chosen ones, May 15th, 16th, and 17th are being revealed as more than just dates on a calendar. These are days marked by divine urgency, moments where hidden truths will surface, spiritual battles will intensify, and life-changing decisions will shape the future in ways many cannot yet fully understand. This is not a message for everyone. It is a warning, a wake-up call, and a preparation for those who feel deep within their spirit that something powerful is shifting around them. Many chosen ones have already sensed the pressure building, the sleepless nights, emotional heaviness, strange distance from certain people, and the feeling that life is moving toward a major turning point are not random. Heaven has been preparing them quietly. God often separates his chosen before elevating them, allowing them to go through seasons of confusion, isolation, and testing so they can recognize his voice more clearly when the critical moment arrives. These 3 days represent that critical moment. During this period, hidden motives will begin to reveal themselves. Relationships built on deception may suddenly collapse. Situations that once seemed stable may shift unexpectedly. The chosen ones will begin seeing people, opportunities, and even themselves with greater spiritual clarity. God is removing the mask from everything false, because what cannot survive in truth cannot enter the next season of destiny. At the same time, these days will also bring important spiritual decisions. Some will continue ignoring the signs, remaining trapped in fear, distraction, and old patterns. Others will recognize that this is their moment to fully trust God, release what no longer belongs in their lives, and step into the purpose they were created for. Every response matters during these days because destiny often changes through moments of obedience that seem small at first but carry eternal consequences. The warning is not meant to create fear but awareness. God is calling his chosen ones to stay spiritually alert, protect their peace, pray deeply, and avoid distractions that weaken discernment. The enemy attacks hardest before breakthrough, which is why many have felt exhausted recently. But this pressure is temporary. Beyond these 3 days lies transformation, clarity, and a new season that will separate those who listened from those who ignored the call. The chosen ones are being awakened because heaven knows their time to rise is closer than ever before. Many chosen ones spend years believing their struggles are signs that God has abandoned them, when in reality those struggles are often evidence that heaven is preparing them for something greater. The betrayals, disappointments, delays, and emotional pain were never meaningless punishments. They were part of a spiritual process designed to awaken strength, wisdom, and purpose hidden deep within the soul. What felt like destruction was actually preparation. What felt like rejection was often divine protection guiding them away from people and environments that could not support their future calling. Spiritual battles usually begin long before a person realizes they are chosen. Suddenly, life becomes heavier without explanation. Relationships become complicated. Doors close unexpectedly. Plans fail at the last second. There are moments of loneliness that feel unbearable and emotional wounds that seem impossible to heal. Many people ask God why everything became harder when they were trying to do good, not understanding that darkness attacks what carries purpose. The enemy does not waste energy fighting empty lives. The greatest battles are often reserved for those carrying the greatest spiritual assignments. Betrayal becomes one of the strongest tools in this awakening process. Trusted people suddenly change. Friends disappear. Loyalty fades. Chosen ones often experience heartbreak from the very people they once helped the most. But these painful moments teach discernment. They reveal who truly belongs in the next chapter and who is only assigned to a temporary season. God sometimes removes people not to hurt his chosen ones, but to protect their destiny from hidden intentions and destructive influences. Delays also play an important role in spiritual awakening. Many chosen ones become frustrated because their dreams take longer than expected. They watch others succeed while they remain stuck in waiting seasons filled with uncertainty. Yet these delays are often periods of hidden growth. Just as roots grow underground before a tree becomes visible, spiritual strength develops in silence before purpose fully appears. God prepares the person before releasing the blessing, because unprepared success can destroy someone not yet spiritually mature enough to handle it. Emotional pain becomes another part of the transformation. The sleepless nights, silent tears, anxiety, and exhaustion force chosen ones to search for deeper meaning beyond material success or human approval. Pain pushes them closer to God, teaching them dependence, humility, and inner strength. What once broke them eventually becomes the source of wisdom they use to help others heal. This awakening changes everything. The chosen ones begin seeing life differently. Their intuition becomes sharper. They recognize toxic environments faster. They stop chasing validation from people who cannot understand their calling. Instead of viewing past suffering as evidence of failure, they begin realizing every battle carried a lesson, every delay carried preparation, and every painful experience shaped them into the person God intended them to become. There are certain moments in life when everything begins to shift at once, when the spiritual atmosphere changes so strongly that even those who normally ignore signs can feel something unusual happening around them. May 15th, 16th, and 17th are presented as 3 powerful days filled with revelation, testing, and final decisions. Each day carries its own spiritual meaning, building toward a turning point that could change the direction of a person's life forever. For the chosen ones, these are not ordinary dates. They represent a spiritual process where truth is revealed, faith is challenged, and destiny is shaped through the choices made during these critical moments. May 15th is the day of revelation. Hidden truths begin coming into the light, and things that were once confusing suddenly become clear. Many chosen ones have spent months or even years feeling uncertain about certain relationships, opportunities, or situations in their lives. They sensed something was wrong but lacked confirmation. During this period, masks begin falling away. People who secretly carried jealousy, dishonesty, or hidden motives may unintentionally expose themselves. Situations built on lies or false foundations can begin collapsing. What was hidden in darkness can no longer remain concealed, because God is bringing clarity to protect his chosen ones from walking further into deception. This revelation may not always feel comfortable. Truth often hurts before it heals. Some people may discover that those they trusted were never truly loyal. Others may realize they have been delaying important decisions out of fear, comfort, or emotional attachment. But revelation is necessary because a person cannot step into their future while remaining blind to what is damaging their spirit. God reveals truth not to destroy people, but to awaken them before it is too late. May 16th becomes the day of testing. Once truth is revealed, faith is challenged. This is the moment where chosen ones must decide whether they will trust God or return to old habits, fears, and distractions. The pressure may intensify during this time. Emotional exhaustion, confusion, and spiritual attacks may become stronger because the enemy often fights hardest when someone is close to breakthrough. Old temptations may return. Toxic people may suddenly reappear. Unexpected problems may arise, designed to distract and weaken focus. But these tests serve an important purpose. They reveal spiritual maturity. Anyone can remain faithful during easy seasons, but true strength appears during pressure. Heaven watches how chosen ones respond when circumstances become difficult. Will they panic and lose faith, or will they remain grounded despite uncertainty? Every challenge during this day becomes an opportunity to prove growth, discipline, and trust in God's plan. Then comes May 17th, the final turning point. This day represents decision and direction. After revelation and testing, a choice must be made. Some cycles will close permanently, while new doors begin opening for those willing to move forward in obedience. The decisions made during this period can shape future relationships, opportunities, spiritual growth, and personal destiny. For some, this may mean finally walking away from toxic environments. For others, it may mean stepping into a calling they have been avoiding for years. This final stage is powerful because destiny often changes through moments of courage. Fear may still exist, but chosen ones are called to move forward anyway. God is not looking for perfection. He is looking for obedience and trust. Those who listen carefully, protect their peace, and follow spiritual discernment during these 3 days may enter a completely different season of life afterward. What begins with revelation ends with transformation, and what feels like an ending may actually become the beginning of the life God always intended for them. In times of uncertainty, one of the greatest challenges for the chosen ones is learning how to remain focused while everything around them feels unstable. The world constantly pulls attention toward fear, confusion, negativity, and distraction, making it difficult to hear the voice of God clearly. That is why this message strongly encourages viewers to protect their peace, trust their spiritual discernment, and stay connected to the purpose God placed inside them. These next moments are too important to waste on people, situations, or habits that drain energy and weaken faith. Many chosen ones have spent years surrounded by environments that slowly exhausted their spirit. They tolerated toxic relationships, fake loyalty, constant negativity, and emotional manipulation because they hoped things would eventually improve. But spiritual growth often begins when a person realizes not everyone deserves access to their energy. Some people carry chaos everywhere they go, and remaining connected to them can delay purpose, cloud judgment, and weaken inner peace. God sometimes removes certain individuals from a chosen one's life, not as punishment, but as protection for the future he is preparing. Protecting peace becomes essential during spiritual transformation. Peace is not weakness, it is spiritual strength. The enemy often works through confusion, emotional reactions, drama, and distraction because a distracted mind struggles to hear divine direction clearly. That is why chosen ones are being reminded to step away from unnecessary conflict, avoid constant negativity, and stop giving attention to people who thrive on draining their spirit. Every conversation, environment, and relationship affects energy, and during critical seasons, guarding the mind and heart becomes a form of spiritual warfare. The script also encourages viewers to trust their intuition and spiritual discernment. Many chosen ones already sense when something feels wrong, but they often ignore those feelings out of fear, guilt, or emotional attachment. God speaks in many ways, and sometimes He warns through an unexplainable feeling deep within the spirit. When peace suddenly disappears around certain people or situations, it may be a sign that something is out of alignment. Learning to trust discernment helps chosen ones avoid unnecessary pain and move closer to the path God designed for them. Avoiding distractions is another important message. The closer a person moves toward breakthrough, the more distractions tend to appear. Old temptations return, toxic relationships suddenly seek reconnection, fear grows louder, unexpected drama appears. These distractions are often designed to pull chosen ones away from their purpose at the exact moment they are closest to transformation. Staying focused means refusing to let temporary emotions destroy long-term destiny. Most importantly, the message encourages viewers to fully step into the destiny God prepared for them. Too many chosen ones spend years doubting themselves, waiting for approval, or shrinking their gifts because they fear failure or rejection. But purpose cannot be fulfilled while living in fear. God did not create them to remain trapped in small thinking, toxic environments, or endless self-doubt. Every struggle they survived prepared them for something greater. The encouragement is clear: trust God even when the path feels uncertain. Stay spiritually alert. Protect your peace aggressively. Listen to your intuition. Let go of people who continuously bring confusion into your life. And most of all, stop running from the calling placed on your spirit. The destiny waiting ahead is greater than the fear trying to hold you back. And the chosen ones who remain focused during this season may soon discover that every painful experience was leading them toward the life God planned all along.